Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive.
Today, we are heading straight into the cauldron. We are going to Murrayfield. We are unpacking the aftermath of a Six Nations clash that was, well, chaotic, fascinating, and
And depending on which side of the border you sit on, either absolutely glorious or just completely soul-destroying.
exactly. We are talking, of course, about that showdown between Scotland and England.
And to help us navigate this storm, we are not just looking at the scoreboard. We are breaking down a properly hard-hitting analysis by Mick Cleary.
The headline alone gives you a taste of the mood, doesn't it? England are yet to deliver a statement win on the road.
It's a heavy critique. Cleary is essentially, putting a pin in the balloon of England's World Cup hype.
But what I love about this source material is it doesn't just look at the result. It digs into the psychology, the specific tactical failures.
And just the sheer unpredictability of Test match rugby.
Absolutely.
And we've also got a stack of spirited debates from the community comments section because, trust me, the fans have declared war on each other in the best possible way.
I can imagine.
But before we dive into the nitty-gritty of, why England crumbled and how Scotland soared, I have one important thing to tell you. If you love this kind of breakdown, where we don't just read the scores but actually understand the game, you need to subscribe to Rugby Obsession right now. Don't miss a single breakdown.
It really is the best way to stay ahead of the game. So, let's set the scene. Because to understand the shock of the result, you have to understand the narrative before kickoff.
Completely. I mean, let's look at the context. England came into this match on a serious roll. They had won, 12 games on the bounce?
12, which is no small feat in international rugby, regardless of who you're applying.
Right. That streak included beating Argentina 3 times. So there was genuine talk of Grand Slam.
Oh, yeah. There were whispers of a glorious springtime finish in Paris. The expectation wasn't just high, it was through the roof.
And that's where Cleary brings in this brilliant, vivid metaphor. He describes the transformation of the England team as seeing Aesop's rugby fable played out.
I love this line. He says, we watched England go from cocks of the walk to feather dusters in plain sight.
From cocks of the walk to scratching about in the dirt, I mean, that is a brutal image.
It's so visceral.
Yeah.
It implies they weren't just beaten, they were stripped of their aura.
And you have to contrast that with Scotland, right? Remember, Scotland was coming off a pretty dismal showing in Rome.
Yeah, Cleary called them the drowned rats of Rome. But in 80 minutes at Murrayfield, they transformed into these warriors of the North.
And you can't discount the atmosphere for that, surely. Murrayfield isn't just a stadium.
It's a weapon.
Exactly.
No, absolutely not. Cleary mentions the skirl of a lone bagpiper and the mythology of the occasion. He says it's just swamped England.
It's that intangible element, isn't it? The emotion, the history,
Yeah.
the stuff that data spreadsheets just can't predict.
So it sounds like England got caught up in the storm. But, and this is where it gets really interesting, it wasn't just passion, was it?
No, and that's the critical distinction. It's lazy analysis to just say, oh, Scotland played with more heart.
They did play with heart and soul, don't get me wrong.
Of course. But Cleary points out that this was a tactical hit job by Gregor Townsend.
A tactical hit job. I love that phrasing. So let's dig into the mechanics of this. How did they actually dismantle England's winning streak?
Well, they were smarter and sharper. They outthought England, and it starts with individual brilliance that fits into a system.
Okay, so you mean Finn Russell.
You have to start with Finn Russell. Cleary calls him the genie out of the bottle.
And you can never put that genie back in, can you? Not when he's in that mood.
Not a chance. He doesn't play by a script, but look at the guys around him. Hugh Jones.
Oh, we have to talk about Hugh Jones.
He's becoming a genuine nemesis for England. He's scored a brace in this match, which takes his total to 9 tries against England alone.
Wait, 9 tries against one single nation. That's a career statistic for some players. That feels personal at that point.
It really does. And then you have Kyle Stein, who was named player of the match. But the real tactical genius, the specific weakness Cleary highlights, was the 13 channel.
Okay, let's unpack this. The number 13 channel, the outside center defensive channel. Why was this such a disaster area for England?
It comes down to personnel and geometry. England had Tommy Freeman defending in that channel.
Now, Freeman is a fantastic player, a distinct talent, but he's a winger.
Right. He's a winger. And defending at 13 is arguably the hardest job on the pitch. You are the hinge.
The hinge, explain that.
You connect the inside defense to the winger. You have to make split-second decisions on every single play. Do I drift wide? Do I blitz up? Do I hold?
And if you get it wrong by half a second, the opposition is through.
And Scotland just kept asking him questions he couldn't answer.
Precisely. Cleary argues that Freeman's inexperience in that specific position was exploited ruthlessly. The England axis of Ford at 10, Dingwall at 12, and Freeman at 13. It just had a horrible time.
So what's the solution then? According to Cleary, I mean. Is he saying Freeman shouldn't be in the team?
No, not at all. He's saying Freeman needs to go back to where he's world-class on the wing.
Right.
And for the center, Cleary suggests England needs to stop experimenting and look at specialists. He throws out names like Seb Atkinson, Max Ojomo, or bringing Ollie Lawrence back in.
You need someone who understands the nuance of that midfield defense instinctively.
Exactly. It's fascinating how one positional mismatch can unravel a whole defensive system. It's like a loose thread on a sweater.
Speaking of unraveling, we have to talk about the discipline, or, well, the lack thereof.
We do, the turning points.
Henry Arundel, oh boy. Cleary calls it a humiliation.
It was a very long walk to the sidelines for him. 2 yellow cards resulting in a red.
And the second one was for that reckless challenge on Kyle Stein while he was airborne.
Yeah, looking at the analysis, he didn't really have a leg to stand on, did he?
Yeah.
In fact, Cleary suggests some officials might have given a straight red for that.
A straight red immediately. So complaining about the officiating really isn't an option for England fans here.
No, it just put England under massive pressure.
But even with 14 men, there was that moment where it felt like maybe, just maybe, they could claw something back.
They were in possession. They were in the Scottish half.
And then the blob?
The George Ford blob.
Cleary calls it calamitous. Talk us through this. 53rd minute. What happened?
So England are trailing, but they're in the fight. George Ford goes for a drop goal. Now, Ford is usually the calmest guy in the stadium.
The master orchestrator.
Right. But this attempt, it just went wrong. Badly wrong. And Cleary identifies this specific error as the match decider.
One kick decided the match.
In a game of this magnitude, yeah. It just obliterated any prospect of a comeback. Killed the momentum stone dead.
And Cleary attaches a broader criticism to this, doesn't he? He says England is too in awe of data.
Yes. What does that even mean in this context? Are they playing by spreadsheet?
That's exactly it. The statistics probably say if you are in this zone and you are down by X points, a drop goal yields the highest percentage chance. So Ford tries to execute the data point.
But Cleary contrasts this with Finn Russell, or the French fly halves, like Jalabert.
Because they play what they see, right? They play the chaos.
When the playbook is shredded, as Cleary puts it, those guys play on instinct. They read the body language of the defenders, the wind, the noise. Ford, in that moment, felt like he was trying to force a pre-planned outcome.
That is such a powerful distinction, the difference between playing the math and playing the match.
And in the cauldron of Murrayfield, math usually loses.
Before we get into the massive so what of all this, because there are huge World Cup implications here, I want to just take a quick second.
Go for it.
If you're enjoying this analysis, if you want to understand the tactics behind the headlines, please hit that subscribe button for Rugby Obsession. We're tracking the whole tournament, and you won't want to miss what comes next.
So let's look at the bigger picture. The so what here is huge.
It really is. Cleary's core argument is pretty stinging, he says. Until England delivers a statement win on the road, their billing as World Cup contenders is in question.
It's the ultimate litmus test, isn't it? Winning at Twickenham is one thing. You have the crowd, the routine, the comfort.
But winning in Paris and Dublin and Edinburgh, that's what champions do.
Exactly. Cleary points out you don't just get to claim contender status based on home form and beating Argentina a few times.
And he mentions a certain South African coach who might be watching this with a bit of interest.
Rassie Erasmus. Cleary imagines the Springbok coach sleeping easy, or maybe even cracking a smile watching England fall back to earth.
That image of Rassie smiling is terrifying for any England fan.
It is, because he knows exactly how to exploit the weaknesses we've just discussed. If Scotland can exploit the 13 channel, imagine what the Springboks would do to it.
But surely the coaches will say, we learned a lot today, right? That's the standard line. We're building.
And Cleary's having absolutely none of that.
He calls it hogwash.
Hogwash. He says for a Six Nations match against your oldest rival, the time for experimenting is long past. You don't treat the Calcutta Cup as a training ground exercise.
You have to deliver results. If you are still learning basic defensive structures this deep into a cycle, you are in trouble.
That's a standard that fans definitely agree with, which brings us nicely to the community voices.
Yes, we dove into the comments section, and let me tell you, the debate is alive and well.
I always love this part. The fans often spot things the pundits miss.
So let's start with the defense of England. We have user the notorious Fig. They make a pretty solid point. It's hard to judge England too harshly when they played 30 minutes with 14 men away from home.
It's a valid mitigating factor. Playing a man down at that level is exhausting. It stretches your defensive line, which we already know was struggling to breaking point.
So the notorious Fig is saying, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right. The result is skewed by the red card.
But then you have user Eric Elwood, who zooms out a bit. He claims this is all part of the English media hype cycle.
Ah, the classic build 'em up to knock 'em down.
Exactly. He says the media overhypes the team to get eyeballs. Grand Slam incoming. And then when they lose, they destroy them to get more eyeballs. Delusions of grandeur, he calls it.
There is certainly a bit of truth to that. The expectation of a Grand Slam after just a couple of good wins did seem to ramp up very, very quickly.
And then we have the coaching critique. User AA came in with a football comparison that made me laugh, but it hurts.
Oh, no.
He compared Steve Borthwick to Graham Taylor.
Ouch. That is a deep cut for English sports fans.
So?
For those who don't know, Graham Taylor was the England football manager in the early 90s, famous for a very direct long ball style.
Right. AA is arguing that Borthwick has one and only tactic, which is kicking. He says they lack a plan B. If the kick chase doesn't work, they're stuck.
It echoes Cleary's point about being over-reliant on data, doesn't it? If your only tactic is kick high and chase, and the opposition deals with it, where do you go?
Speaking of finding a way, there's a huge debate about Maro Itoje. Cleary's take is that Itoje is not at his best and needs to be cut some slack or given a rest.
But the fans aren't so sure about that. User Mark says he has been cut too much slack already. He calls his form mediocre at best.
And then User JS comes in with a really interesting angle. They suggest Itoje should consult Red Rose's winner Meg Jones for advice on resilience.
That's a lovely reference. Meg Jones, despite personal tragedy, went on to win the World Cup. It's a reminder that resilience is a mental skill, not just physical.
So, looking ahead, the dust has settled on Murrayfield, but the tournament rolls on. England have Ireland next at Twickenham.
Talk about out of the frying pan and into the fire. Ireland are a machine.
Predictions are mixed. User Jacques predicts an Ireland win or a draw, and he points out a specific technical detail I hadn't even considered.
Go on.
He says Tommy Freeman doesn't have a proper left-hand pass for a center.
That's a very specific, very sharp observation. If you can't pass fluently off both hands in the center, you choke the attack for players outside you. It makes you predictable.
Which just backs up the idea that he belongs on the wing.
Exactly. It's another data point suggesting the experiment has to end.
However, the notorious Figar optimist suggests Ireland might be low on confidence because of their own set-piece struggles recently, so maybe there's a window.
It's possible. England's scrum was actually very good against Scotland. If they can weaponize that against Ireland, they have a foothold. But against Ireland, you have to be perfect for 80 minutes.
And what about roster changes? Cleary is calling for Ollie Lawrence to return.
Lawrence brings ballast. He brings that physical presence in the midfield that might help stabilize that defensive channel.
And the big question, fly half, Ford or Finn Smith?
It's the dilemma, isn't it? Ford had the blob, but he's the master. Finn Smith is the young talent. But user AA calls Smith Ford Mech 2, implying he might not bring that creative spark.
It's the eternal struggle between control and chaos. England loves control. Rugby sometimes demands chaos.
Perfectly put. And right now, chaos is winning.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you with a thought from user Ed the Duck. He commented on the irony of the phrase, expect the unexpected.
It's the mantra of elite coaches, isn't it? Control the controllables.
It is. But Ed points out that in the Six Nations is the only guarantee that reputations can be shredded in 80 minutes. You can be the cock of the walk at 2 p.m. and a feather duster by 4 p.m.
That is the beauty of this tournament. No one is safe. Every single weekend is a test of character.
And that is why we watch. Thank you so much for joining us on this breakdown. It was a tough one for England fans, a glorious one for Scotland fans, and a fascinating one for neutrals.
Absolutely. A classic for the archives.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button to Rugby Obsession so you are ready for the next round of drama. Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we'll look forward to you listening to our next episode.